Hey everyone, welcome to the AI Amigo Show. My name is James Garza. I'm here with Jin Chao. Welcome, Jin Chao.
Hi, how's it going, everyone?
As you can see, Marina is not here today. She is not doing well. We wish her the best to get well soon. So hopefully, Marina, you get well soon, and we will see you in the next podcast. So today, Jin Chao, we've been talking about chaining thoughts in AI.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah,
think about that?
yeah. Yeah. Just recently, I started to look into those a bit more. Yeah. Because the idea is, I was running some small models on my laptop. It kind of so basically you have multiple steps in there, and then um, you get you get a kind of answer you wanted, you form a specific output for the next excuse me, for the next kind of step. So step by step. So in this way, you can build something which is very specific for your task. Um, Kind of like um, inside agent, it might be able to build something like this. So, for example, I build something just to solve a math question. So, first step is ask specific. Oh, what are the variables there? And second one is like, with the variable, how can we solve this question? And then the last one would be the final step presentation. So just a
Hmm.
simple one. Yeah, that's so far what
I
I
mean,
have.
like in anything, like if you look at like an algorithm, which is a step-by-step process, right? So if
Hmm.
you then take and say, well, I need to solve something, whatever it may be. You need to be able to decompose the problem,
Yeah.
break it into smaller bits, and then using AI every step of the way, rather than using it in the whole. And for me, I think what's really great about that is that for model explainability and transparency. So if something goes wrong, you know exactly where it went wrong.
Hmm.
Um, I can see that being very useful in lots of industries because, like deep models, for example, deep learning models, they are not allowed to be used in certain industries simply because of the black box.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
something goes wrong, you don't know where it went wrong or how it made its decision and how to be accountable.
Mhm.
Um, and where you do the chaining of thoughts, you can see every step of the way. You break it down, and you can say, "Well, this is right here is where it went wrong."
Yeah,
Not,
yeah,
we don't know where it went wrong.
yeah, yeah. That's different. Definitely something I I I enjoyed as well. Sometimes you have those deep thinking models. You can say exactly their thinking step by step. I'll put it for you, and then you say, "Oh, something like you said, something went wrong. Where did it went wrong?" Yeah, it definitely helps, especially when you're trying those open AI one reasoning, right? They just kind of like running. You don't know what's happening. A minute later, there's output come out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the output that comes out, you go, "Well, is that suitable? Is there an issue with it?" Because if you look at what it's doing, ultimately it's to help us make decisions and better decisions and
yeah,
quicker
yeah,
decisions, right? But I mean, this chaining of thoughts or chaining thoughts in AI, it's a very much like a very cognitive in regards to like the way we are as humans in our own thought process. So it
hmm,
really
hmm,
mimics us as how we as humans reason through, various different problems, and it makes this AI more intuitive and really more in line with the way we would kind of expect it to be.
yeah, definitely. And then I think there's another aspect of it from a programming, from a small business. If we wanted to do, um, like I know big company doesn't really matter about the budgeting. They might just plug in, let's say, oh, I want to do channel pods, just open AI all the time, all right? And or some big large models. But channel thoughts basically is multiple steps. You fire your AP, communicate with API anyway during each step. So that gives us opportunity of using different one for different steps. So
Yeah.
you might be able to saving more money that way. You know, like if you ask an LLM to output the JSON format, a very simple task, you don't need it to use OpenAI like 4TO or something. Maybe a small model somewhere you can use it for that. So that's I think when I was playing with it. So this is some area maybe it's interesting later on for um, people to developing apps or something like that. Yeah.
Well, we talk like my background's in financial services and trading, and we were talking about this a bit last week in regards to agents.
Yeah.
But even if you think of like chain of thoughts, each chain could be a chain link, let's call it, could be a an agent as such.
Yeah.
So if you think about like well, I want to buy a stock, so as you would as a person. So what would you need to do? Well, when you look at you look at the stock itself. What is the price? What's the trend of the stock?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
Yeah.
overall market, the stock market? When we look at a stock price, we consider three things. The stock itself, the industry. How is the industry doing? And then we look at the overall market. And so, those three things as a human trader we would look at. And then you might look at, let's say some fundamentals of the stock itself. Look at your own risk assessment, and
Uh-huh.
then
Uh-huh.
and then once you have all of that, then make the trade. So you can see you decompose that entire process to do that, and you have an agent every step of the way, or in making a chain of thoughts in AI.
Yeah. Yeah. And then different variables, all that for sure. You can build a Warren Buffett to calculate your intrinsic value for it, right?
Well, think about this. Think of all the the good traders. Like Benjamin Franklin, or not Benjamin Franklin. What's his name? It's Franklin anyway. It was
Yeah.
Warren Buffett's guru. Benjamin Franklin is someone else.
Okay.
um, and you got like Ray Dalio. You got a lot of different traders. Think about it. You can get their books and train a model to
Yeah.
do what the trade like they trade. You know,
Yeah.
hey Ray, what do you think? And hey Warren, what do you think? And
Yeah. And I think that touch the area is very interesting. I don't know what was one is intrinsic value. The other um the the kind of indicator is POE, isn't it? Or something? P slash E or
yeah,
something?
a PE ratio. Yeah,
Yeah, PE ratio or something. And then I
yeah.
was I was having fun just trying to build something funny in the open AI. I think somebody actually built one called Warren Buffett or something. And then you can just put in kind of all years of financial reports. It actually tell you certain stocks. Let's say, oh, it should be priced at €7 at the moment. And I was looking into some kind of mobile company in Europe, and I actually calculate, oh, it's supposed to be 750, and right now I said, okay, it's €5, so there might be a chance going in. So yeah, it was quite funny. You can't bet on it, but like put a couple €100 just to see where it goes.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, I just looked up here that it's Benjamin Graham was the guy that Warren Buffett mimicked or learned to trade from, which was basically finding stocks that were very undervalued. And when
Yeah,
you look at the different factors and how you determine, and you can. It'd be interesting to have like a conversation with like like you said there, like you had Warren Buffett or
yeah,
and you say, hey, what do you think about this stock today? What do you think
yeah,
about the market? And having these discussions, and it's like you're talking to someone that's or an agent that is trained based on the way the way they trade and their thesis and such.
yeah, yeah,
It's it is very interesting because like in the trading industry itself as well, like that's one of the industries where you're not allowed to use deep learning models because of the black box. And so here, where you can decompose, like even like there, where it's just saying like every step of the process, give me an analysis of the market, but ultimately, you as a human make the final decision. Say, well, yes, I agree with that, or I don't agree with that
hmm
analysis, and I'm going to buy or not buy. So I can see where chaining thoughts in AI is very useful because it goes back to the transparency and being open and ethical with AI.
Yeah, I mean, it just it's good for small models, and you can chain them together, kind of make it really powerful. And there's also argument basically when I was trying around, and some of those you don't need a chain at all. I mean, like for large models, you know,
Mhm.
a Llama 3.3, like 70 billion, even if you put it into ChatGPT, um, like you don't need to chain some of those models together, chain some of the thoughts. It just to
Yeah.
give you the straight away all that output in one go. So yeah, kind of we needed to find where you use it as well.
Yeah. I mean, I could see. I mean, like going like what you're saying there is like having one big model versus a bunch of small ones, right?
Hmm.
And I mean, I saw some. It's been years ago now about the drone technology and drones. But what they were talking about is the cameras on the drone, and they wanted to make this one big camera.
Yeah.
The solution they came up with is rather than having one big camera, they used small cameras, a bunch of small cameras, like that you have on your iPhone or any of your
Okay.
smart
Okay.
devices, and
Yeah.
put them together, and
All
it
right. Okay.
gave a resolution. So rather than building like this one big camera that would have cost lots and lots and lots of money, you just
Yeah.
have these all these little cameras. So I'm thinking about like like AI where you have you have this ChatGPT big model, and it's or any other like Claude or any other big models, LLM models that use a lot of energy to train, where you can say, well, like you're saying there, just get a bunch of small little ones, and
Hmm.
that'll do what you needed to do.
Yeah. When you mention the drone, is I remember one of those cameras. At the back of the camera is full of those lenses. Is it 16 lenses or something? There's a camera like that. It says that it took like the best picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just look at it. It's kind of scary. It's kind of like a spider eye. It's just full of cameras at the back, kind of claustrophobic if you look at it. But yeah,
Well,
I'm
I mean, that's kind of like chaining, and funny enough, after last week's podcast when we were talking about agents, and there was a bit of a discussion there on LinkedIn in regards to
mm,
swarm AI and using swarming, where AI is training AI, and I think this is going to be the next evolution of it, because I think AI is going to move so quickly that we're going to need AI to train it. Because I mean, I've done trading before where with the algorithms, and they move so quickly that it's you're like, slow down. I need some time
yeah,
to process this
yeah,
this, this information,
yeah,
and this is where you're going to need AI to be able to do that.
yeah, for sure. I think we have to understand one AI event is totally different than what human events.
Yeah,
Um, So when we learn something, we learn something. How we pass on to the knowledge, it depends on the next person who will learn it again from us. But the AI is not. Well, like look into let's. That was the example I mentioned in the comments as well. Like a Tesla cars. If one car learns it, suddenly all the cars knows how to drive on that particular scenario, right?
yeah,
So
kind of scary.
yeah, so that's how they learn. So a good example is I think the Japanese tested something, and you know this game you hold a stick and then you swing it, and then there's a bow on the string, and then the bow will land on the top of it into it,
Yeah,
kind of yeah, right. It's a Japanese game,
we have
so
one of those. We have those in Mexico as well. It's like a little top, and it's got a
yeah,
string, and you try to catch it in there. Yeah,
yeah. A human did a good athletic kind of people who has good balance and all that did 10 or 20 times get it right, and then the next 10 or 20 run she can get like half of it, like 50%.
okay.
the AI took they have a human kind of like a robot doing exactly the same. And in the beginning, the robot doesn't know how to do it at all. Like it took humongous a number of try just to get the ball swinging and trying to go on the top. And then by chance, the robot actually did once, pure chance, like 2,000 try, 3,000 try, pure chance. And after that, every single one of them lands in there. So every single try and every single robot,
Yes.
every time it will land in there. So
Well, I mean, I'm not physically coordinated at all, and if I did something, like I say, I got two left feet. Like, if I did something and I kicked the, like I shot a basketball from the middle of the court and I make it, to say, hey James, make it again, like, there's no chance. You know what I mean? So that's quite impressive that it actually not only it remembers every. It's like a search algorithm, right? It's searching every way to do it, and then basically once it finds it, it has that set and it's set forever.
yeah, it just advanced different than us. The same thing as AGI as well. People are talking about it could be just a moment suddenly. They all like knows now. It's like the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we talking about, it's kind of scary, right? To a certain extent, it's both exciting and scary at the same time. Have we awakened the machines? What I think what's his name is Sam Altman said something about the singularity is awakening. He was talking about the AI singularity. So maybe we've turned on Skynet.
Yeah, possible. I mean, like I watch a lot of those podcasts, people from the Silicon Valley, from those AI labs, like the stuff they talk about is if you're an outsider, you'll be shocked.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff we don't know. I mean, like we use, I think kind of like an internet, right? Internet was created like it's a U.S. kind of military project, basically used in the military first, and then released to everyone to use, kind of. But we can assume what we use is a generation or two generation behind. I think that might apply to the AI as well. Like, we're maybe one generation, two generation behind. And then plus they have no kind of financial reason to release unless the competitor kind of advance ahead a little bit and then they release something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean that's very true. I mean, like a lot of products that we have in regards to like GPS, that was for the military. The internet, that was military. Mobile phones, that was military. Like all of that was first in the military and then brought forward to us. And I mean, even today, you look at the military with they got quantum computing, and computers and that's I think you even say like the common cryptology that we have today is basically null and void with supercomputing or quantum computing. So it is interesting times we live in, and I think Moore's law, where every 2 years things are doubling. I think that that's been blown out of the water. I think we're doubling knowledge and technology much faster than that.
Yeah. I don't know the term. There's a term in English or in Chinese as well. I don't know. It's the moment of history. Just kind of changes everything. There's I find it next time.
Like an inflection point, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a Chinese saying that everyone says, but I think it doesn't mean what we think it means. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, Jen, where it says, may you live in interesting times. But I think that people think of that as like, oh, that would be like great. But I think it's not meant to be for great. I think it's, not supposed to be. Am I wrong in that, John? You tell me.
I don't know. I don't know the full sentence. But it's nice to see. I think like It's just the large language model is a bit overheated on. I think it's a bit overheated on the text, on the video, on the voice side.
Yeah.
We don't see enough investment on, let's say, kind of on the medical side, the operation robot. For the last year or a year and a half, we didn't hear too much on that side, like really apply to the area which is good, like let's say medical or surgical or some area which actually helps.
Well, I know they're using it for medication and vaccines. They're using it, but I
Mm.
mean, I think when it comes to like medical, it's really highly regulated, and in fact, this is some when I did my master's in stock trading, and I did it in reinforcement learning. But one of the things is that it was Dr. Marco Lopez de Prado, who is an expert in this, was talking about how in financial services it's still kind of like the Wild West in
Mm-hmm.
regards to AI, because people just say, "Oh, I've trained the AI to I've trained this model to trade, and it's made this return." Well, what's your Sharpe ratio? And the Sharpe ratio is you get every expected your expected return divided by expected volatility. On the expected return, you take away your risk free, and that gives you for every unit of return how much unit of volatility. Because you've heard a higher risk, higher reward. That's not always the case.
Mm.
So people then will retrain their models, retrain their models, retrain the models, retrain the models to basically they overfit it, and meaning that it memorizes the pattern of that stock and gives you the Sharpe ratio you're looking for, and then this turns around and says, "Oh yeah, it makes this return with this Sharpe ratio. Let's invest people's money in it," and then people lose money, and it doesn't do what it did in the training
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
And I think, I mean, so things are brought to market really, really quick. And one of the things he was mentioning, which I thought was quite interesting, um, is that you introduce a penalty into your model for every time you retrain it. You know, so and I thought that's a pretty good way of thinking of it. Because to ensure that it does that. But just talking about how a lot of resources were wasted. So not just resources of investors' money, but
Yeah,
time and so he was saying, because it's not like the medical industry. Just going back to what you were saying, the medical industry,
yeah,
where it's very highly regulated, and I mean obviously rightfully so, because it's
mm,
people's lives. It's
yeah.
health, and so we don't want a model working on someone and someone dies.
Oh, definitely. I'm just thinking about like just a simple like when I learned AI that time, and people were talking about like using the image basically to there's a model trend on kind of categorize the mole on your body, right? That's one
Mm,
of the simple that do
yeah.
you need to get doctor checked or do you not need to get doctor checked and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, just since LLM, large language model, advanced quite a bit, I'm just hoping for all the other area feels like it should advance a good bit as well. Just seems like all the money is in the LLM at the moment. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I think, well, I think the money is there is because there's a lot more subscribers, right? But
yeah, yeah,
remember we were talking about this some time ago, where people are trusting AI over their doctors,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
which is interesting. But I mean, I do see where it can help doctors for diagnosis. I mean, ultimately the doctor makes the final decision, but we have shortage of medical staff. This could be a way to use our existing medical staff and leverage up, you
mm,
know, that where it can to ensure that nothing is missed. In other words, because how many
yeah,
times we heard
yeah,
the doctors are only human after all, and
yeah,
that they miss something or they overlook something, where the AI doesn't do that. It looks at everything, but ultimately saying, well, if it can do a diagnosis, but then it gives a treatment or even a diagnosis, that the final diagnosis lies in the hands of a human doctor, and said,
yeah, yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
I agree with that," or "I disagree with that," or "Oh, I missed that," or "Are you considering this?" So I mean, it is exciting, but yeah, you're right. I mean, you're not seeing very much advancement in the medical community and with AI, at least
Yeah,
that
just
we're aware of, anyway.
yeah, just even other area. It doesn't has to be large language model all the time.
Yeah,
That's how I feel. Um, I think whoever get those medical data, who can train the best models, right? It'd be a really impressive model can read doctors' notes on the prescription.
yeah. Well, that is true. That's who can. I mean, I think they go to school to learn how to write like that.
But I find it very funny. Like this is not, I don't know, like all the doctor in the world do the same. Like in China, it's the same, and the writing is unrecognizable. And then here, and then it's the same. I don't know. Do they talk to each other? Says I'm gonna have some bad
There must
writing.
have been some doctor way in the past that started this, and everyone has done it. That this is the way it's done. It's one of those
Language is
things that
not a
just.
burial. It's okay. I can write bad anyway.
Well, I mean, maybe it's one of those things that happen that no one questions. It just this is the way you do it.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
this is the way
fascinating.
it's done.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
it for
think we're at our
today.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, we're 26 minutes. It's a long one without Marina.
She's not here to rein us in and to make sure that we finish on time. But yeah, interesting conversation today, Jin Chao. Thank you very much, and thank you for those that are listening.
Yeah.
We next week Marina should be back with us. We expect her to be back again. Wishing her to get well soon, and it's nothing serious for those that are maybe concerned.
Yeah.
It's just enough that she was not able to make it today. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week, and thanks for joining in. Don't
Thank you.
forget to
Bye now.
subscribe to our channel.